Welcome in everyone back to the Chess Center. We are going to take a look at a game from about 10 years ago from my own catalog. This was a 4-round rapid tournament with some extremely strong players, as you can see there. And my final game was with the black pieces against an FM 2290 US chess rating. Let's jump right in. E4, of course, the common approach, E6. Okay. French defense, I used to quite favor this opening as a childhood favorite, but these days the reputation of the French has gone quite a bit downhill. Knight D2, really popular Tarrasch defense or variation. This move was the one that really I find gave the most trouble to the French defense. Knight D2 on move 3. Okay, we decided to capture. There's also Knight F6 and other moves, Bishop E7, I believe. But this actually is pretty solid approach. This bishop, which hates the French defense, finds an early home on the C6 square. Not only that, but we are threatening the pawn. And a funny moment here, as we haven't really even started developing. Why not? Well, we did want to prioritize that bishop, and now here we go. Knight D7, white castles first, knight G to F6, and a capture. I want to point something out here. Knight takes knight, I don't think that's a great move. Something for newer players to chess to understand is that when one knight is guarding the other, very common, the knight in the back, this knight on D7, actually is just essentially waiting for its turn to play. So when you capture and capture, white no longer has a piece in the center, and nothing changed for black except more space to maneuver, move our queen out of the way, more comfort. So that exchange, simple as it may look, I feel like really favored black. Next move was C3, a solid move, Queen D5. And when I played this move, I was almost clearly indicating which way we're going to castle, queen side. In addition to that, I started to have the move C4 in my rear view mirror. Okay, watch out for C4. Every move we're watching, making sure that that move is not going to hurt us, as if we have to move our queen, then the next pawn move could really make our king unsafe or threaten our bishop, etc. So didn't happen yet, but remember C4 as that is on my radar as soon as I put my queen there. This is a good lesson for players a little newer to chess, to have the threatening moves, like I said, on your rear view mirror or in your mirror. Just alert, be alert for those threatening moves. Castle's long, and that typically ensures an exciting game when one king goes one way, the other king goes the other way, and this game is no different, does not disappoint. Remember, black needs to win this game in order to win the tournament, and I was hoping to get an exciting fight. Bishop D6, completing development, and pointing at the king. Everything's pointed at the king, but again, alert, alert, alert for C4. Bishop G5, a very natural human move, although the engine doesn't favor it as the best, makes a lot of sense. And here I was really alert and calculating the move C4. When I was planning to play H6, watch out for C4 was on my mind. And I spotted something that was really exciting and almost certain that it worked. So C4. Perfect. Okay, we're going to come back to this position. I want to mention that if white had captured the knight, and you might say to yourself, well, Chris, that gives double pawns. I know that helps white. And well, really the most important factor, and I don't think any strong players would play that move, because it opens the rook file straight to the white king. This plays into our hands. Now, if the black king were sitting in the king side castle, this would be a scary proposition for black. But with our king safely tucked away on c8, Next move coming, one of the rooks to g8, and you can feel the pieces coordinating. Coordination, the harmony of your pieces is really the hallmark of great chess. Even if you don't have a lot of pieces, if they're working together, that's very valuable. Here it is, c4 comes, and if you want to pause the video now and find the really fascinating combination that comes, go ahead and do that now. There's actually bishop takes h2. I was going to say there's really two beautiful ways this could play out. Let's see the easy stuff first. First, can the knight just capture that? It appears to be free. Well, remember, we had this battery lined up, and queen takes g2. It's just plain checkmate. Easy enough to see. Remember, my opponent is a FIDE master. So bishop takes h2. The only moves that really need to be calculated are king moves. So king takes bishop, easy to understand. I hope that our rook now uncovers a check, and white is really feeling scared. Again, opening files on the king is great, and not to mention we want a pawn. King h1, this was the move actually played in the game, and here again I want to pause and see who can find this amazing move. Black has two amazing moves here, and I had seen all this when playing h6, anticipating if c4 comes that this would really work out. Queen takes g5. Two exclamation points. Our queen is completely hanging. This move really was the move of the game, no question. Knight takes queen, and simply pawn takes back. Let's pause here and take an overview of what's going on. Whenever there's mass trades or exchanges, you need to slow down and take an assessment of the position, starting with the material. So material count, we have an extra pawn, black, and two minor pieces, knight and bishop. So pawn and two minors equals 7 points in the traditional scoring system, whereas white has an extra queen. 7 to 9, not too bad, but now let's take an overview of the positional factors happening. First, biggest thing, the king for white is in terrible danger. We're waiting for any bishop move that makes a check, but also hopefully wins material. Also, our bishop on c6 is perfectly placed. The pawn on d4, hanging central pawn. And don't forget about our knight, which will make an appearance, but in either position can really cause some great damage. Let's rewind a moment. I mentioned there were two nice moves here, queen g5, and actually, depending on which engine you use, the other move is even better. Sadly, I had looked at it, but it turned it down, and I'll show you why. If you want to pause here, definitely a good moment and chess puzzle time. But here we go. Queen takes knight. You could take the bishop or the knight here. And how does this work? How could it possibly work? Well, very similar. All the positional factors are in black's favor. Very similar, except even worse. I actually rejected this in light of bishop e4. But the engine regards black as completely winning still. Sad that we didn't play the very best move here, but I really like queen g5. Let's see how the game concluded. And this went b4. Actually, the last real critical mistake. If d5, notice this pawn is hanging, so if you're trying to find a way to guard that, this move does actually make sense. Notice moving your queen, for example, to guard this makes no sense at all, as moving our bishop. Anything on dark squares is fair game, and moving the bishop to f4 would be a check, and we would pick up the queen. So let's rewind. b4 was played, and that just hangs a central pawn. Now we have two pawns and two minor pieces, 8 points for the queen. Plenty, 1 point difference, but all the positional factors again with black. F4 is definitely on the alert for tactics here, desperation, but I played knight h5, threatening not just a fork, but that would be checkmate if knight g3 would land. King takes bishop, an easy tactic to understand. Again, this discovered attack, where to move the knight. Any knight move is check, but we are playing knight takes f4. That makes a check and threatens the queen. We're going to win their queen. Here, maybe the last moment to pause if you want to test your skills. I think most players would take that queen with two hands as fast as you can. Black is certainly winning that game, but there are better moves, and I played rook captures the bishop, ensuring now if the king does move, then we take the queen with a free bishop in our pocket. And as the game goes, queen takes, knight takes. Actually, we won even more material this way, and the game is so much simpler. The rook and pawn are both under attack. Rook e to b1, a sad necessity there, and I knew that this game and tournament was mine. F5, really closing around the king. Rook b3 threatens the knight. Bishop e4 guards the knight. Rook again threatens the knight, but this even still would be a terribly lost endgame. F4, the final move in the game. Here, white resigned. The only legal move is king g4, and that falls to the simple knight fork. So, for example, king takes g5, knight takes d1, king takes f4, and we could move the bishop, maybe even capture the pawn. And when the dust settles, there's no more real danger or excitement. Black is just two minor pieces ahead. But let's really, again, kind of take stock here as the key moment in the game. Two winning moves, two queen sacrifices possible. And really, I think a great lesson for everyone is that the move c4 was on my mind the moment we put our queen here. So you might watch strong chess players play blitz especially, and you see, how did they see that so fast? Well, it's often that they have a threat or a tactic in their rear view mirror. They're watching, almost works, not quite, and then something changes and the tactic works perfectly. So be alert to that. Have the potential threats on your mind. Maybe they can threaten me, especially when your queen is out in the open. I think that one really was the basis of finding the tactic that occurred in the game. Had I been surprised or alert or not alert to that move, then maybe we would have handled it a lot worse.
All right, let's review some key lessons. Lesson 1, the superfluous knights. The d7 knight, which is further back, is waiting to play. This trade helped black gain space. You will definitely see this idea again.
Lesson 2, be alert to potential danger. By watching for approaching danger, you can react better and not be surprised.
And lesson 3, don't be afraid to go for it. To be a great chess player, you have to be confident. Work on that skill by calculating and jumping in head first.
Thank you all for joining us. I really appreciate the view and subscribing, and I hope that we can make a few more videos of our own games as I'm learning how to do this the best, and then we're really going to jump into some great chess lessons. If you have any suggestions or comments, definitely leave them. I appreciate it, and we'll read them personally. Thank you everyone again, and have a great day.